Welcome back to Nonstop Fantasy. It is week 8, and I'm here with Jack because Oscar could not make it because he is at a rowing event in Philadelphia. So this week we have start, bench, a waiver pickup, and a player to trade for.
And since Oscar isn't here, we've extended it from last week, so we'll have 5 startums, 4 benchums, 1 trade for, and 1 waiver pickup. So here we go. Zach, you want to start?
I'll start. So for my first start, I have D.D. Westbrook versus the New York Jets. Again, I'm a Jets fan, and I hate to say it, but the Jets secondary is okay. They may have the best safety core in the league at Jamal Adams and Marcus May, arguably. Jamal Adams may be arguably the best safety in the league. But,
I agree with that, yeah.
But again, their corners are terrible. He's going to get open, and he puts up consistent 12, 13 points per game. So if you want to start him in a flex, I think that's not a bad idea.
I also agree with this because, let's be honest, Diddy's the number 2 receiver on Jacksonville behind DJ Chark.
Yeah.
So the defense is going to be looking to make sure DJ Chark doesn't catch balls and then leaves D.D. Westbrook wide open.
And with Leonard Fournette on that team, they're going to be also focusing on him.
Yeah, as well.
He's going to be open a lot.
Yeah.
All right, and number 2, I have Marquez Valdes-Scantling at Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is not that great. And, with Devontae Adams still out, I think he's due for another big game. And, against a not great defense, I think this is time for Scantling to get a good game.
I agree as well because the Chiefs defense, they're on an entire offensive team. In ESPN Fantasy, they're ranked number 12 in the top of all the defenses, which isn't bad, but now with Patrick Mahomes out, it's going to be a much closer game, but I still think that the Chiefs offense is still lethal, which is going to leave Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball more and hopefully Scantling getting production.
Yeah. And then for number 3, I have Brandon Cooks at Cincinnati. And then I'm going to add in Goff with this because he's my number 4 here for starts. I'm going to put the two of them together, both on the same team. He's going to be throwing to Cooks at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's 0-7. They're terrible. They are probably as bad as the Dolphins, if not worse. So, if I'm being honest, these guys are probably going to have a good week.
I somewhat agree and somewhat disagree. I still look, Cincinnati's bad, and I do think Goff and Brandon Cooks are going to have pretty normal games. But if they're going to get up, and they're probably going to get up a lot, by the time that Cooks may have a decent game, they're going to just start running the ball a lot and trying to avoid getting injury or anything.
And then for number 5, I have the Jacksonville defense against the New York Jets. Darnold was just off last week. He may be playing the best defense in the league, but if you look, there are some guys that were clearly open on some plays.
He was seeing ghosts.
He's seeing ghosts, which was very foul. ESPN to put that up, but still. And the Jacksonville defense is not amazing, but they're solid. They're a pretty solid defense, and they're going to hold the Jets.
Look, Jalen Ramsey's gone, but I think that is just a reason for the Jacksonville defense to step up. I do agree with this pick because, look, Sam Darnold clearly isn't himself after coming back from mono, and the best offensive player on that team is Le'Veon Bell, and they still don't have their tight end Chris Herndon, so it's definitely a start.
And Le'Veon Bell is yet to have a 100-yard rushing game, so he's clearly that offense is not what it could be.
Yeah. All right, so my first start is Matt Stafford against the Giants. I'm personally starting him in my league this week because I had Mahomes and he got hurt. First off, Stafford's put up very consistent numbers, 27, 15, 14, 23, 11, and 28. And I just think against a Giants defense that's like a bottom tier defense in the league, he should have a productive game. He has elite wide receivers in Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones, and a decent tight end in T.J. Hawkinson. I just think that he's going to be throwing a lot more, and with Kerryon Johnson out, they can't look to the run game to rely on.
Now with Ty Johnson, I want to talk about the run game here just for a second. I don't know if Ty Johnson's going to be great for them, so I'm just saying they're going to throw the ball a lot.
Yeah, I'll have something with that later. So my second start is Emmanuel Sanders, who was just required from the 49ers, and he's playing Carolina. So, Kyle Shanahan originally said that they're looking to involve Emmanuel Sanders a lot. And I think, I think this game is going to be very close, even though the 49ers are undefeated. It's just Kyle Allen is still looking really sharp in a strong game. And Jimmy Garoppolo, they've had some pretty easy matchups for a while. And I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is just going to have to find someone else to throw to that isn't George Kittle. With Deebo Samuels and Dante Pettis, Deebo Samuels out and Dante Pettis really not living up to what they expected from him after last year, who did pretty well. I think it was a great trade for Emmanuel Sanders, and I really think that he's going to have a productive week.
Yeah, going from a terrible team to a undefeated team is huge for him.
Yeah.
It's going to give him a confidence boost.
My third start is Mohamed Sanu, the newly required Mohamed Sanu against Cleveland. So Josh Gordon is on the IR, which is probably the reason why they traded for Sanu. Sanu, besides a couple of weeks, he's been very consistent, in my opinion. Is definitely ready to catch a lot from his new quarterback in Tom Brady. I think that he's going to have a very productive game because, again, he's now the number 2 receiver, and he's still probably going to play the slot, which is a lot of over the middle catches for 5 or 10 yard games, and yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I can agree with this Sanu start because Julian Edelman is sore. He's going to play most likely. He's played in 3 games in a row where he's been sore in the chest, so he's not playing every single snap. So Sanu, who is not hurt, will probably be on the field for 95% of the snaps, and that's just going to get him the ball.
It will definitely be a bigger role from when he had it with the Falcons behind Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. So my third stardom, it could be a questionable start, but I really think that Chase Edmonds, who was the backup to David Johnson, can have another productive game. Look, I don't expect him to have 126 yards and 3 touchdowns like he did last week against the Giants because he's playing a top defense in New Orleans. But I think that considering now he's a big part of that Arizona offense, he should be getting the ball a lot, and who knows, he could catch a lot of passes out of the backfield. And I'm expecting maybe like a 14, 15 point game, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on that.
I actually disagree with you. Chase Edmonds, they played the Giants. Obviously, he's going to run all over the Giants. The Giants' defense is pretty terrible, so he's going to get those 3 touchdowns. If they hand him the ball, he has a huge hole. He's going to run for 30 yards. So I disagree with this. The Saints have a great defense, and they're going to lock him up.
All right. Well, I guess that was shot down really quickly. My final start is, surprisingly, Gerald Everett against Cincinnati.
Very consistent.
So Gerald Everett is in ESPN Fantasy is ranked number 9 in tight ends. Besides the first 3 weeks, after the first 3 weeks, he put up some very good numbers against some solid defenses like Seattle. Now going up against Cincinnati, like we said earlier, one of the worst defenses in the league, 0-7, don't know where they are right now. I think Gerald Everett is going to have a very productive game. I think he's going to possibly catch a touchdown and go for like 70 yards. I think that if you're looking for a tight end because either he's on a bye or something like that, he is definitely one to start.
And so moving on to the benches?
Yeah, the benches.
Okay, so actually for my first bench, I wrote everyone on the Browns offense except for Nick Chubb. They're playing New England. If you saw what the New England did to the Jets last week, it's over. New England is a great team, and I don't think the Browns are actually that great. I think they're totally overhyped. And we'll go into detail about the players who just aren't performing as well this year besides Nick Chubb, who's having a great year for fantasy, but everybody else is just been okay.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that the Patriots clearly the Patriots are going to win, but I wouldn't count every single person to get 0 points except for Nick Chubb, but I definitely think they're going to underperform.
Yeah, and then next I have Tyler Boyd versus the Rams. Tyler Boyd, to say he's been underwhelming. He's been okay, He's had a couple terrible weeks. He's had a couple good weeks. But he's been underwhelming, and I think that if he's the number 1 guy on that team, Jalen Ramsey is just gonna lock him up. I think that's over. I think that matchup shouldn't even be argued, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Next, I have Matt Breida versus Carolina Panthers. See, Carolina Panthers defense is pretty good. It's not great. It's not terrible, though. But also, Breida's not getting the look. It's been all Tevin Coleman. So
Tevin Coleman is now becoming the number one running back over there.
And they definitely have 3 decent running backs over there in San Francisco. But he's been not getting the ball, and it's looking like Coleman is really looking like the standout number 1 RB over there.
I have Tevin Coleman on my team, and when I first picked him up, I was kind of nervous. Oh, Matt Breida might actually seem pretty successful, but he just hasn't put up the numbers that people were expecting to ever since Tevin Coleman came back.
And then lastly, I have Melvin Gordon at Chicago. Melvin Gordon, again, underwhelming. Very underwhelming. He even said that his holdout was a failure and he'll never do it again. But he's been awful. He's averaging 9 points a game. And he's a top running back in this league last year. I wouldn't play him if I were you at Chicago against a top 5 defense, probably. I wouldn't play him.
Yeah, I think that Austin Eckler has become a huge part of that offense, running and receiving. I think Melvin Gordon will get its snaps, but against Khalil Mack and Chicago defense, I don't think he's in for a super productive game. All right, so I'm going to start with my benchums, and my first one is Calvin Ridley against Seattle. First off, this is really the only reason that I think Calvin Ridley should be set. Matt Ryan is not playing.
Yeah.
Matt Schwab is a 38-year-old quarterback who can't run, can't really move, and probably hasn't played in a while. If this was 10 years ago, Matt Schwab, 100% playing, but it's not. I still, as a side note, of course, play Julio Jones. I mean, I think any quarterback throwing to him, he can still be great, but Calvin Ridley is a definite sit for me.
I would agree.
My second one could come as a shock, but what we said earlier is Odell. The Pats defense is literally the number 1 defense in the league right now.
I saw a stat this week that said even if the Patriots offense had not taken the field at any time this year, even if they just were all hurt and nobody played and they literally just forfeited the ball, the Patriots would still be 3-1.
Yeah.
They'd be better than the Dolphins, the Jets,
a lot of teams.
Yeah, a lot of terrible teams. And that's just that's crazy.
So Odell has only had one really good game, and Zach, I'm sorry, it was against the Jets.
Of course it was.
But against Baltimore and San Fran, he had 4 points and 5 points, and against the Rams, he had 11. After the 28-point game against the Jets, the next one was 16 against Seattle. He's been really underperforming ever since he came to Cleveland, even though people still consider him one of the top receivers in the league. So
I also heard some trade rumors about him.
Yeah, I don't know about.
I don't believe it, but it's possible.
My third benchum is David Montgomery, who is playing the Chargers. So the Bears honestly have not been playing great since their playoff last year and their double doink with Cody Parkey. But Matt Nagy's comment was that they need to run the ball more, and it's clear to them that they need to run the ball. But the Chargers right now, being 2-4 at the bottom of their division, are looking to seriously bounce back. They got unlucky last week against Tennessee when Melvin Gordon fumbled, and I really think that they're gonna get get ahead early, which means that they can't stick to the running game anymore, and they're gonna have to throw the ball, which is just bad for David Montgomery. So he's a sit for me.
Yeah, I feel so bad for Joe Mora. A friend of ours is a Chargers fan, and he's not happy lately.
Yeah, not at all.
At 2-4.
All right, my final bench.
Aren't they 2-5?
I don't know, something. They have 2 wins.
Yeah, I think they're 2-5.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
Yeah. My final bench is Alshon Jeffrey against Buffalo. So, Alshon Jeffrey, yes, he is the number 1 receiver on the Eagles, but surprisingly, Buffalo's defense has been playing great.
Top 10 in the league right now.
Top 10 in the league, absolutely. I just think that Carson Wentz has been sort of off his game a little bit, and with Alshon Jeffrey trying to catch with him, I don't know if he's gonna have a game that people expect him. Maybe like 11 to 12 points, but don't
If
expect
that.
like a 20+ game.
Yeah, even if that. I just want to make a disclaimer. We are not always right. We are just predicting. So let's say Tyler Boyd gets 45 points, and I said to bench him. I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's
It's
unlikely.
common sense.
But we're
using
just basing
stats.
it off stats and projections and defenses. So, but we don't know the outcomes. Like, these guys could have total amazing games. So please just
Or
don't
bad
rip
ones.
us up.
Yeah. All right, now on to trade for. I'll start my trade for, and actually this is what I did in my league this week. My trade for is Leonard Fournette. So Leonard Fournette has been running and receiving and putting up great stats.
Without getting touchdowns.
Yeah, he only has 1 touchdown in all 7 games that he's played. I think that for a running back as Leonard Fournette, he is good. He is good to be traded for, and just not being like the outstanding running back that fantasy owners want to put at number 1 to be traded away. Like, I gave up Marlon Mack and Drew Brees for Leonard Fournette, which I think was a very good trade for me, and I think because I still have Mahomes and Matt Stafford and stuff. So I think that Leonard Fournette is a definite possible person to trade for, and isn't like a no, I'm never going to trade for him or trade away him.
Yeah, speaking of Drew Brees, he's playing this week.
I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, you're a Saints fan. And then for trade for, I have Cortland Sutton. I did this early in the year. I did this maybe week 3 or 4 I picked him up. I saw week 3 or 4 that me and actually Jack too, we both wanted him, but I had the higher waiver, and I saw that on Tuesday after that week that I needed to get this guy because he's putting up very good numbers. And if you don't have him, he's averaging 13.5 points per game, so he's a good flex option. And some games he gets 20 points. He's a great flex option, and I think that he's a definite person that you should trade for if you need somebody like that.
I agree. And for our final topic is waiver pickups. We only have 1 waiver pickup this week for each person, but I still think that it's a very good person to think about. So for mine, it's kind of obvious. It's Ty Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Johnson is the backup to Kerryon Johnson on the Detroit Lions. Kerryon Johnson has been putting up great numbers in the running game and was really coming into his own as a second-year running back until he went down with an injury. Now with Ty Johnson, he's going to be the number 1 back over there, and he will be getting the ball. I don't expect him as a starter, but I definitely think he's someone to pick up because who knows, he may end up being a top running back to play after a couple of weeks. I still think they're going to throw the ball a lot more than run, though.
Yeah, he has about a 40% availability. And then for me, I have Kenny Stills. I'm pretty sure Will Fuller is hurt.
No, Will Fuller is 100% hurt. Yeah, he's
Will
not.
Fuller is hurt. So, and Kenny Stills has been getting some pretty good looks, actually. So, I think with Will Fuller hurt, who has been pretty good, Will Fuller's been putting up a very good year.
With DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller in front of him. But now with him gone, he should become more
Kenny
productive.
Stills is going to be very productive. And, DeAndre Hopkins, obviously the best corner is going to be on him every game. So Stills is probably going to get some very good looks. And I think he's going to put up maybe some 15-point games soon.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I think we're about ready to
Yep.
wrap this up.
That was our second time for Nonstop Fantasy, and we can't wait to see you next week.
Peace.